On November 16, 2025, the U.S. Supreme Court struck down the Trump-era tariffs, sending shockwaves through global markets. Years of import taxes on goods from China, Brazil, and beyond vanished overnight, upending business models and consumer prices. The ruling wasn't just a legal technicality, it was a seismic shift, instantly felt from Wall Street to Beijing. For years, tariffs had sparked debate. Were they protecting American jobs, or just raising prices and fueling trade wars? The court's decision forced everyone to confront a new reality. The era of unilateral tariffs was over. Now the U.S. faces the daunting task of refunding up to $1 trillion to companies that paid these tariffs. The focus has shifted from legal arguments to the practical fallout, refunds, global trade relations, and America's economic future. The story of tariffs is now a story of massive change, with consequences for every corner of the economy. To truly grasp the Supreme Court's decision, we first need to understand what these tariffs were, how they worked, and why they were put in place in the first place. Tariffs are essentially taxes placed on imported goods. By making foreign products more expensive, tariffs are meant to encourage Americans to buy domestically made items, giving a boost to U.S. manufacturing and protecting local jobs. In 2018, the Trump administration launched a sweeping wave of tariffs, some as high as 25%, targeting steel, aluminum, and thousands of products imported from China and other countries. The main goal was to protect American jobs, revive struggling industries, and pressure trading partners into negotiating better deals for the U.S., even if it meant Americans might pay more for certain goods. But the strategy didn't go as planned. Other countries quickly retaliated, imposing their own tariffs on U.S. exports. This hit American farmers and manufacturers hard, as they suddenly faced new barriers to selling their products abroad. Businesses that relied on global supply chains saw their costs skyrocket, while exporters lost access to key international markets, making it harder to compete. The trade war created widespread uncertainty, disrupted entire industries, and left everyday consumers paying more for everything from electronics to groceries. Some products even disappeared from shelves altogether. What started as an America First policy quickly escalated into a global economic standoff, with countries around the world taking sides and responding in kind. As costs mounted and instability grew, business owners, workers, and lawmakers began to question whether the president had the authority to impose such sweeping tariffs without congressional approval. The legacy of these tariffs was clear: economic pain for many, rising global tensions, and a looming legal battle that would soon reach the nation's highest court. That legal question would soon reshape the future of U.S. trade policy and redefine the limits of presidential power. The legal battle wasn't about whether tariffs were good policy, it was about presidential power. The administration used the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, IEEPA, to justify the tariffs, claiming broad authority in a national emergency. But business groups argued IEEPA was never meant to let presidents impose taxes. Congress alone holds that power. During oral arguments, justices pressed the government. Can the president really bypass Congress to levy massive taxes? The court's majority was skeptical, citing the Constitution's clear grant of taxing power to Congress and warning against vague legal justifications for sweeping economic actions. The case became a test of checks and balances, with the court poised to draw a line on executive authority. The stage was set for a historic decision. Even before the Supreme Court weighed in, opposition to the tariffs was fierce and widespread. Across the country, people from all walks of life raised their voices, worried about the impact on their livelihoods and communities. Economists argued tariffs wouldn't fix the trade deficit, and only hurt a strong U.S. economy. They pointed to data showing that tariffs often lead to higher prices for consumers and disrupt established trade relationships, making recovery even harder. Business groups like the U.S. Chamber of Commerce and Consumer Technology Association warned of rising costs and lost competitiveness. They cautioned that American companies could lose their edge in the global market, putting future growth at risk. Manufacturers struggled with higher prices for imported parts, while exporters faced foreign retaliation. Many companies found themselves caught in the crossfire, forced to make tough decisions about production and staffing. Farmers lost access to key markets, and job losses mounted, contradicting the tariffs' promise to protect American workers. Rural communities, already struggling, felt the brunt of these changes as uncertainty spread. State leaders like Michigan's governor decried the chaos inflicted on industries tied to global supply chains. They called for urgent action, highlighting the ripple effects on local economies and families. For many, tariffs weren't an abstract policy. They were a direct threat to jobs and investment. Small businesses, in particular, faced mounting challenges as uncertainty clouded their future. The economic pain was real, and the pressure for change grew. Families worried about making ends meet, and communities watched as opportunities faded. These voices of opposition fueled the urgency behind the legal challenge. Citizens, advocacy groups, and business leaders united to demand answers and relief. The Supreme Court's decision would answer not just a legal question, but a national outcry. The entire country watched, hoping for clarity and resolution. The stakes couldn't have been higher, as the outcome would shape the nation's economic future for years to come. In a 6-3 decision, the Supreme Court ruled the president's use of IEEPA to impose broad tariffs was unconstitutional. Chief Justice Roberts wrote that only Congress can levy taxes, including tariffs. Executive power has limits. The court invoked the Major Questions Doctrine, insisting Congress must clearly authorize such sweeping economic actions. The ruling dismantled the entire tariff structure built since 2018, not just those on China. Dissenting justices warned the decision could weaken the president's ability to respond to economic threats, but the majority stood firm. The verdict reasserted Congress's authority over trade and taxation, setting a powerful precedent for future presidents. The era of unilateral tariff wars was over, by order of the nation's highest court. The Supreme Court's decision sent markets soaring. Investors cheered the end of costly tariffs. Companies relying on imports, from retailers to automakers, saw their stock prices jump as input costs dropped. For years, businesses had struggled with uncertainty and higher expenses. Now, relief was immediate. The tech industry, in particular, welcomed the chance to rebuild global supply chains and lower costs. For consumers, the impact will be felt at the checkout. Prices on everything from electronics to cars are expected to fall as tariffs disappear. The change won't be instant, but lower costs should gradually reach American households. Not everyone is celebrating. Domestic steel and aluminum producers, once shielded by tariffs, now face renewed foreign competition. These industries must adapt quickly to survive in a more open market. The ruling is a win for importers and consumers, but a challenge for sectors, once protected by trade barriers. The economic landscape has shifted, again. With the tariffs struck down, the U.S. government now owes up to $1 trillion in refunds to businesses. The scale is unprecedented, 20 times larger than recent student loan forgiveness plans. Processing these refunds will be a logistical nightmare, with years of complex customs records to untangle. Small businesses may struggle to claim their share, while legal disputes and delays are almost certain. For companies, the refunds are a windfall, money that could fuel investment, hiring, or shareholder payouts. For the Treasury, it's a fiscal headache, likely requiring more borrowing and adding to the national debt. The economic impact is uncertain. A short-term stimulus for business, but a long-term challenge for government finances. The refund process will test the system's limits. America's trading partners breathed a collective sigh of relief as the Supreme Court brought an end to the long and costly tariff wars that had unsettled global markets for years. The European Union, China, and other major economies quickly welcomed the ruling, expressing hope for a return to stable, rules-based trade and a more predictable international business environment. Retaliatory tariffs are now expected to be rolled back, reopening vital markets for U.S. farmers and manufacturers who have struggled under years of uncertainty and lost export opportunities. The decision effectively resets global trade relations, offering a rare chance for renewed cooperation, fresh negotiation, and the rebuilding of trust among trading partners. For American consumers, lower prices are finally on the horizon as tariffs vanish from imported goods, making everyday items and electronics more affordable. The benefits will take time to reach everyone, but the end of this hidden tax should gradually ease inflation, boost purchasing power, and restore confidence in the economy for families across the country. Still, not all will benefit equally. Some U.S. industries, like steel and textiles, now face tough competition as long-standing protections disappear, raising concerns about jobs and local economies. The long-term question remains: Will the gains for exporters and consumers ultimately outweigh the losses in once protected sectors, or will new challenges emerge as the market adjusts? The Supreme Court's landmark ruling closes one chapter in America's economic story and opens another, challenging the nation to adapt and compete in a rapidly changing world. The future of U.S. trade and its place in the global economy will be shaped by the choices made in the months and years ahead as America navigates this new era of opportunity and uncertainty.